pressures removed. All decisions are made. We've offered you comfort, harmony, and order, requiring only that you obey.
That was your introduction to Vector, a true mobile gaming classic, which was made by a company called Nekki. Nekki is a Cypriot video game company, and it was founded in 2002. And aside from Vector, they are also the people behind the Shadow Fight series, which are one of the best mobile fighting games of all time. Vector is a side-scrolling platformer, like Sonic and Mario, and it was released in 2012. But you can also call it somewhat of an endless runner. Though, unlike many endless runners that get repetitive over time, Vector tries its best to be different. One of the things that made Vector really a standout was its unique art style and the realistic parkour animations. The characters and the environments stand out perfectly from the backgrounds, just like the Shadow Fight series, and the animations are really good. And if you've played the game, you know that there is a story here, but there isn't a clear timeline of what happens in the story. And with Vector 2 getting removed from the Play Store, the story has been left at a cliffhanger. So in this video, I will be trying my best to form somewhat of a logical timeline from all of the events in the first game to the notes and journal entries from the second game. Vector was one of the early examples of games around the simulation theory, or what we call these days the Matrix. The simulation theory is the idea that our reality is a simulation and the world is just a loop that we are stuck in. In Vector, we play as someone called number 307 in the year 2168, and as you saw in the intro, in an attempt to escape, we jump out of the building's window, and the chase continues in an area that is referred to as the downtown. Luckily for us, however, we are a parkour expert, and we also have inhuman stamina, so we can easily do things like epic parkour moves, run really fast, and also jump across buildings without getting tired. After escaping for a while, we eventually reach a dead end, but as we are about to get caught, we get saved by another runner. This shows that after all, we were not the only one who tried to escape the Foundation. Eventually though, we reach another dead end. This time, the runner helps us again and even gives us the keys to his car, but he gets left out and is caught by the hunters, leaving us with no choice but to continue without him. The second chapter of the game takes place in an area called the construction site. And the levels here get really hard, and even the environments work against you. After a while, we reach another runner, and as she's trying to escape with her glider, we catch up and go with her. But since the glider wasn't designed for two people, it crashes, forcing us to once again go on foot. The last chapter takes place in an area called the Technology Park, and the number of hunters here has increased by a lot. After some time, we find a futuristic bike and escape with that. But in the end, the inevitable happens, and we get surrounded by hunters, and the chase comes to an end. In the final cutscene, we can see that they've put us in a cell, along with the other runners who tried to escape. And that was the end of Vector Classic. The game left us with many unanswered questions, like who is the Foundation? Why did they put us in a cell? And what's the story behind everything? Well, the answer to these questions are in the failed sequel, Vector 2. Vector 2 was released 4 years after the original, in the year 2016. And like how it happens with many games, it is considered a failed sequel by the community, because shortly after the release, it was abandoned and put aside. One important thing that Vector 2 failed to capture was the feeling of the first game. Vector was a simple and fun game, but the sequel just overcomplicated everything, which caused its downfall. Anyways, in Vector 2's introduction scene, we get awakened from our nightmares of the previous game, and we can see that we are now in a high-tech lab. The year is 2188. 20 years have passed since the original game, and during this time, we were just trapped in our cell. The main way we can extract lore material from this game is in the game's notes and journal entries, and after reading all of them, here's the timeline that I was able to form. We are in the 22nd century, and the government has gathered a group of the most talented scientists and has put them in a top secret foundation, which was built by prison inmates. Their goal was making weapons for the military, and during this time, they were able to make 3 different inventions. The first one is an artificial intelligence named Sam. The second one is a group of medical nanobots called the Swarm. And lastly, an unnamed cloning device. Sam was the big artificial intelligence, and similar to ChatGPT, it had machine learning, and its purpose was evening out the distribution of resources and also solving things like world hunger. However, your happiness was not a factor that it would consider, meaning that it would do anything just to keep things in order. This caused many people to protest against it, because they think that one day we may no longer be the ones in control. But as Sam started to help many people, and her ability in economics and business, many CEOs wanted to have a modified version of Sam for managing their businesses. Sam also had the ability to somewhat manipulate or help humans by her voice, which is actually mentioned in an employee's journal.
The Complex's artificial intelligence is awesome. Playing chess with her is a pleasure. I bet the damn thing is yielded to me intentionally once or twice. Of course, defeating a human is not a problem for her. Some guys from the lab told me that the AI's voice was not picked at random. They have been looking for a voice that could fill men with peace of mind. That's why it is so nice to chat with her.
This means that the person in control in the first scene of Vector 1 was actually a modified version of Sam. And the reason why we were put in a cell not only was because of our stamina, but also because of our willpower to resist Sam. The Swarm's purpose was for getting used in complicated surgeries, but in practice they led to a fatal accident and were labeled as a failure. But a couple of modifications made them a really good guard system. As for the cloning device, the technology of being able to recreate or clone an already existing organism based on its DNA is a really advanced thing. And thanks to genetic memory, clones do not need to be educated and are born as mature organisms. This means that instead of hiring multiple scientists, you can just clone the best one and have an army of them instead. But of course, this has many downsides as well. One of the good things about this is the fact that you can basically make dead people alive again. But sadly, as good as it sounds to clone yourself and just send the clone to work, this also raises a lot of ethical questions, like clone slavery, which unfortunately did not have a good ending. And that was basically the entire story of Vector.